Today, over 1 billion children in the world live in poverty. At Help Heal Humanity, our goal is to connect children in need with people like you who want to make a difference. Our student sponsorship program helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to life. When you sponsor a student, you're not only giving them the gift of education, you're giving them the best chance for a brighter future. 100% of your donation supports the tuition fees, uniforms, textbook, and school supplies needed to thrive in a safe and healthy learning environment. Sponsor a student now and be the catalyst for their brighter future.
Bonjour, good morning. Bonjour, comment ça va? Et toi? Je suis triste. I am sad. Hola, bienvenue, buenin, bienvenidos, benvenuta, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each and every week, I get a phenomenal opportunity to take you on a journey to places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get one magnificent moment to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And I do that because the whole history of mankind revolves around gemstones and precious metals. They've been with us from the beginning. They have created civilizations and destroyed cultures, and millions and millions of people have been enriched by gemstones. So what I do is I take those stories and I use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help you begin your journey of discovering the value of your stories. This was supposed to be a different show, and those of you who have followed with me for a while notice that I said that I am sad. But before I get into that, I want to tell you that in 3 days will be my 62nd birthday. Yes, I will be 62 years old. And I always, each year, and I've been doing this for years, even before identifying myself as a storyteller, I always would take a moment to think about my life. To think about, as I began to understand the power of stories, I began to each year take a moment to figure out where I am in my whole story. The characters that have been in my story, the roles they play, where am I in what I envision my story to be? Not just the middle, the beginning, the middle, and the end, but the whole entirety of it. Today was supposed to be a happy show. As some of you know, I am in France. I am literally sitting here in the middle of southwestern France in my apartment, which my manager, my European manager, literally created and put this up here once upon a time. This is for those of you who think this screen. This is the real wall. Okay, once upon a time. Imagine walking into, after a long journey, seeing a wall that says once upon a time. And my original hope or thought that I would do for the show would be to literally show people what it means. What does it mean to begin to discover the value of your stories? Barbara, bring up my slide, please. But as so often, life changes. Things happen in your story that you're not necessarily prepared to experience. The title of today's story was Opal, how the color begins on the inside. And what's so amazing to me as I do this show each week, it really is a journey for me, because usually what I start out to do or think about, somewhere in that week that you and I have been together, I see something, I discover something, I learn something. And even though this is the third year that I've been doing this show, and I've spoken about opal before, because opal is my birthstone, I had already began to think of opal in a different way. And as I was sitting here happy, yesterday I was playing that sport that I was talking about on Facebook called pétanque, and I was playing with some of the masters, literally national world champions in this sport. And I was playing with about 10 guys, and I was the only American there. Everyone was speaking French, which was already slightly stressful right there, playing a game that had been around for over 1,000 years. And there I was. 3 days from my 62nd birthday, here I am in France. And as I was playing this show, I received a message, a text from a good friend of mine and mentor, Yvonne Johnson, and told me that my good friend and fellow Toastmaster, Denise Meeks Johnson, had died. She was texting me to letting me know that, or find out whether I had heard about it. And of course I hadn't. And the first thought that I had, of course, is the feeling that you always have when someone that you just talked to a day or two before is gone. You say to yourself, what happened? How did that happen? She was just here a minute ago, and now she's gone. And as I started to think about the show, I started to think about just the significance of what I wanted to talk about today. And it's so funny how God takes me to a different place and shows me how the things that I do on my show, the things that I talk about, this is how it resonates in reality. Denise Meeks Johnson. For me, Denise some of the reasons why I'm here today is because of Denise. Denise, as I said, was a Toastmaster friend of mine. I met Denise in Toastmasters, and Denise, from the very beginning, we hit it off. And Denise is part of the reason why I'm here, because Denise was the person that got me to the place that I ultimately won the international speech contest. The first time, every month for 4 months, Denise and I would travel 120 miles, 60 miles there, 60 miles back, twice a month, because that's what I needed to do. I needed to be in a completely different division. At least I felt at that time, in order to have a possibility of winning the international speech contest. And at the time I was driving a Jeep, which, gas mileage was like 12 miles per gallon. And Denise said, I'll drive you. And Denise had one of those really economical Nissans that got like 38 miles per gallon. So each month, twice a month, we would go. And she was there. She was there from the beginning. Denise was an Army veteran, and we would laugh about just being in the military, and she was just so amazing to me. When I was studying for my doctorate in gemology, it was just overwhelming. And Denise, one day, she was going out of town. She said, Barry, here's my keys. Why don't you just go study in a different place? I said, where? A library? She says, no. Why don't you just come to my house? Here's the keys. Go to my house. I'll be out of town. Just study there. And I was able to pass that 8-hour exam because of the love and support that she gave to me. Now, some of you are saying to yourself, how does this relate to gemstones? How to relate to once upon a time? I think when your birthday comes, you need to just sit back and think for a moment. Where you were once upon a time and where you are now. Seeing the whole big picture, understanding all the pieces, all the people who've come in your life in that time span and what they meant to you. How was your story created because of those people? And when I say those people, I'm not talking about just people who have been wonderful in life, even the people who gave you the problems, people who are maybe no longer your friends. There are people who helped me get to this point who they're no longer people that I know or people that I communicate with. They're no longer my friends for a variety of different reasons. But I still value the story, the role, the character, who they were in my story. And because I am a gemological storyteller, I truly understand that it's because of that story that my life has the value that it has. So this show is dedicated to Denise Meeks Johnson because I want you to see how someone's story, how someone's life can fit into your story and allow you to interact with the light. Which brings us to opal. Opal is a gemstone which is for the month of October. Opal has a molecular structure. It's simple. Opal is really just silicon dioxide with just a hint of water. And the thing that makes opal, gives it all the different colors, is that silicon oxide are in little tiny microscopic balls. I'm talking about 10 to the -9 power, like the same size blood cells. And because of those silicon beads, little balls that are put together in no certain order, the light shines through those beads, and those beads sit on a very thin layer of water. And once that light goes through those beads, the beads will refract the light. It will separate the light. And it gives you that what we call a play of color. And the different colors come from not only just the refraction of the light, but those impurities that may be in that opal that gives it all the colors. And I say those things because isn't that what happens to us in our lives? Isn't that happen? We all have a basic molecular structure. We are who we are. Black, white, male, female. We're born with a certain molecular structure because we are, as everyone always says, I'm only human. We are human beings, so we have a very similar molecular structure, but it's the impurities. It is the things that are inside of us, things that we took in ourselves, things, people that came into our lives, and the things that those people instilled in us. It's the impurities that give us the color, that make us who we are. Think about it, just silicon dioxide. Silicon and oxygen are like the most abundant things on the planet Earth in water. And that combination, just that simple combination with a variety of different impurities make opal, a gemstone that has been treasured for thousands of years. An opal is what's called amorphous, which means it's not really even a gemstone. It's called a mineraloid because, as you know, and I've taught you this, that a gemstone, one of the qualities of a gemstone is that it has a crystalline structure, meaning it has an organized structure, and that's what gives it. A diamond has an organized structure. A ruby has an organized structure, but opal is like jade. It's amorphous, meaning that the structure, the beads don't line up in a certain way. So each piece of opal is unique. Each opal that you've ever had in your hand or wearing is a unique piece of opal, even if it comes from the same area. Isn't that how we are? As people, each one of us has a basic molecular structure, a chemical composition of who we are. And it's those things that inside of us, those things that are instilled inside of us that make us special, that make us unique. That's what Denise did for me. That was the second thought that I had in my mind as I was creating the show, that Denise story. Now, Denise, there are so many aspects of my life, of the life that I'm living right now. It's because of what she did for me, because of the love and the support and the care that she gave to me. Think about it. Think about how many people, and I'm not talking about just the good people. I'm talking about the people, as we call it, the haters. Think about the people who have come in your life, and years later, sometimes decades later, if you just take a step back and ask yourself a question, once upon a time, you were here. And now you are where you are today. And it's those people that added, those are the impurities, those are the things, those are the elements that allow you to interact with the light. What people see in you is a manifestation of all the people who have come in your life. That blue color, this is an opal, and there's different kinds of opal. There's Egyptian opal, there's Hungarian opal. In fact, the opal that Napoleon gave his wife Josephine was Hungarian opal. There's Ethiopian opal, there's Australian opal. So all of these different types of opal all have the same basic molecular structure, silicon dioxide and water. But it's the things that are inside of it that gives it that color. What are the things inside of you? Look at your story, look at your life, and think about all the people who have helped, all the people who kicked your ass, all the people that you didn't like, or all the people that made you see the world in a different way. And at that time, you may not like it. Those of you who know, in the beginning, this show has been on for 3 years, and just even the evolution of my life. I told you I had a hard time with my mother, but now, years later, I love my mother more now than I've ever loved her, because I understand what she did for me. I understand that the colors, the things that she insisted in me, allowed me to stand there at this petanque field with 10 guys from France of all different ages. Marco's from Madagascar, Jean-Marc is from France, and just all these people, Hugo, who I just met today. All these people were here speaking French. This is where they're from. This is the game that they played, and they allowed me to play with them as a stranger, as an American, as an African American. And the reason why I was able to do that is because of the people that have been in my life that allowed me to have the confidence, allowed me to believe and see the value of my own story, that made that moment magnificent for me. And Denise did that. Denise did that. Denise would have been 79 years old. She was born February 14th, Valentine's Day. We used to always kid around with that. We used to always talk about that picture that I showed you. I took that picture. Let me show you. I'm sorry, I should have had it already set up. I took that picture. We was coming back from a contest, and she was wearing this orange blouse, and she just looked so beautiful. And I told her, please, and I had just gotten my camera, and I said, please allow me the honor of taking this picture. And I've always loved this picture of Denise. This is who she was. This is who she is in my heart forever. And yeah, I can't be 62 years old and not think about what she's put inside of me, what she allowed me to do because of her love, because of her caring. The colors that you see in me are a manifestation of the things that people like her have put inside of me. This is who I am today. The person that you see each week is because of those elements. The molecular structure that someone saw more in me, someone saw that I could be more, and that's what she did. That's what I would love to honor today. And I will spend the rest of my time in France thinking about Denise. I'm saddened that she is no longer with us in the physical, but she will always be with me in the spiritual. I will spend the rest of today thinking about and celebrating her life, the things that she's done, the son that she lost at such an early age. Her son was maybe 20, 21 when she found him lying dead on the floor. And that pained her for years and years and years. She would talk about it all the time. And But because of that experience, because of her love of God, she was able to give to others. She worked for the Chicago Housing Authority. And despite all the bureaucracy and all the things of that organization, she always brought love. The people, she worked with people just like Opal. She worked with people with all different types of impurities in them, all different types of elements, all the different things that made their color, the way they interact with the life, different. And because of who Denise was, she made people feel beautiful. She made people feel wanted. She made people feel like who they were mattered. Each week I say, take the time to discover the value of not only your own story, but the story of the people around you. And I say that just because of reasons just like now. 2 weeks ago, I was talking about my friend George Berry, who died 53 years old. Gone. How many conversations that we had together when I was driving for Lyft and Grubhub and trying to get myself together. George was the one that said, "Hey, Barry, do it like this." When I was depressed and wondering whether or not I was going to win the next level of the contest, Denise, as we were taking that long ride home in Chicago traffic, so sometimes we wouldn't get back until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And the whole ride, she would always just say to me, "Barry, I believe in you. I believe in your message." And that year was the year that I did in the winter of 1992. My story of when I was homeless, Denise was there. So if someone was to somehow look at the molecular structure of Barry B. Mixon, they would have to see all these chemicals, and somewhere in there, you would have Denise Meeks Johnson. How many of us take the time? How many of us take the time to appreciate the people, the value of the people that are in our lives? And the amazing thing about being 62 years old is that, you know, as the old saying goes, I have less time in front of me. I have more time behind me than I do in front of me. And you can approach it in two ways. You can be scared, you can be worried, or you can sit down and understand and appreciate who you are. Ask yourself, what has your story meant to not just to you, but to your children, to your colleagues, to the people you work with, to your friends? What has your story meant to them? What is your value? Because as we all know, that when it's time to make your transition, all the material things don't mean anything. It's the memories that you leave behind. I think about that quote from Star Trek. You know, that line that Spock said to Kirk, that Mr. Spock said to Captain Kirk. He said, I have been and shall always be your friend. Those are the things that we experience every day. It's not just in a movie. It's not just music you hear. These are the experiences that we have in our lives. And I just believe that if nothing else, every year, when your birthday comes, just take a moment, take a day to think about once upon a time. Where were you? And if once upon a time you were in a better place than you are now, think about all the things that you did in the beginning to get there. Because once upon a time is a time machine. It could go forward and backwards. If you are not where you want to be in your life, when you remember once upon a time that you was in a better place, then figure out, use the concept of stories to figure out, how did you get here? There is a reason why this gemstone looks different than this gemstone. There's a reason. It's the same molecular structure, silicon dioxide with just a hint of water. But yet, look at the color. The play of color, the color of an opal starts from the inside. It takes the light and shines the light through those microscopic beads that have no particular order. It is amorphous. It has different levels of impurities, different things that's in it. And when you put it all together, that's what you see. This is what you see, those flashes of light that not coming from the outside, they're coming from inside, your spirit, who you are. The person that you are today is the manifestation of all the people who have been in your life. All the people who have said something, meant something, done something, created something. And they did it out of love, many of them. They did it out of caring. They did it because they saw something more in you than you may have not seen in yourself. That's what the passing of Denise Meeks Johnson means to me. That's what the passing of George Berry means to me, and so many other people that have meant something in my life. What's your story? See, because when you understand the power of stories, you understand that that story moves because of the characters that's in that story. It's not just you. It is you and the villain, and you and the helpful person, and you and the person who supported you, and you is the person that challenged you. You're a combination. You are a manifestation of all those stories that you see, and that's what you, when people look at you, that's what you manifest. So we're going to take a moment and talk more about that when we come back on the other side. Wow, Barbara. Thank you. That, ladies and gentlemen, the people who are new to this program, this is Barbara J. Beckley. Barbara is my executive producer. Barbara is like my best friend. Barbara is just that person who has inspired me. This is that we talked about Denise, and I'm talking about Denise, and we're celebrating and remembering the life of Denise Meeks Johnson. And then there's and you're saddened because that person is gone. Barbara, you knew Denise as well, and the passing of her it hit you just as I text you and I said, "Wow, guess who I found out who passed." So what did Denise mean to you? How well did you know?
She was an encourager to me. She was a strong woman in every aspect of what she did in her life. For her to lose her son that early of age, that he passed away, like you mentioned, and for her to have to go, because, they always say you never want to, you should go before your child, and her child went before her. And I know that was very rough for her, including being, as we all are here, a Toastmaster, DTM she was, and just saluting her. So, Barry, I always look at, you were mentioning about how people touch your lives, either good or bad. I mean, we say that that person just touched my life and they could have just let that go. I didn't need that. But technically, that builds your character, that builds your strength in your life. Denise was one of those persons in a positive way that was building people's lives. And I always say when a person leaves here and goes to the next level in life, that's how I look at it. Everybody has a different way of looking at things when people pass. They leave that legacy. And they don't have to be a celebrity to do it. She left a legacy in people's lives. She left a legacy in your life. All the things that you were saying, how she touched you. She left a legacy in my life for how she just was that mentor, that leader that I was seeing and watching her. So I always tell people when that happens, when those legends, like I said, you're legendary too. When those legends are in the world, you appreciate them. You mourn because, it is sad, but then you need to do the next step after that because they wouldn't want you sitting back having those pity parties because they're probably going to say in your ear, I didn't do all I was doing in life. So for you to sit there and, you know what I'm saying, Barry? They push you because they want you to keep going. So
not only do I understand what you're saying, I thought about this as I was doing the show and I said, wait a minute, this is Denise. And Denise, if she was here, she'd be like, boy, you in France. So I done opened up a bottle. Of excellent French wine, okay, to my friend.
Oh, I'm so jealous right now. Thank you, Barry. I get jealous every time you get that wine.
This is, it's, I want to celebrate Denise because those of you know my story, Barbara, just to think about where I was once upon a time. Once upon a time when I first started this whole thing, this wasn't even possible. This wasn't even possible. And God speaks to us in different ways. And for me, God has always spoke to me through movies and videos and gemstones. And it's so miraculous that I was talking about planning on what opal means, how that color comes from what's inside of you. And then to find out this, tragic news. And of course, like you said, you get sad for a second, but then you gotta take a moment to celebrate who this person was. Take a glass of wine, do whatever you do to celebrate and understand the best thing that you can do for one of the greatest things you can do for that person is to continue to allow what they put inside of you to allow you to interact with the light. So Denise is here in France. She's here and go, bonjour. Comment ça va? And because Denise was always the one that would take no problem to slapping me in the back of the head, boy, please, And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on here, and so she was like, she was my big sister sometimes. She was my mom sometimes. You know how, sisters can just kind of pull you by the ear, that kind of thing. Times when I would think, well, you know, I am Barry Mixon. She was like, Negro, please, okay? And I'd be like, okay. Let me have to hurt you. Denise was a very, she was a church-going sister, but she would have no problems if she needed to take off the earrings and stuff and just beat your behind. She would do that.
She had no problem with that.
You know, it's just, I'm sad. You know, I am sad, and it'll hit me, you know, as the day moves on and things this. But I think what I want to do is, I talked about it a couple of other shows. Remember, I talked about isomorphic replacement, being able to take those thoughts, just like a gemstone. Instead of replacing the elements, you replace the thoughts, and in that replacing of the thoughts, you shine, you manifest the different color.
Yes. I'm just agreeing with you over and over again. Yes, Barry. Yes.
I'm going to take those. It's amazing, and we've done this show before as far as opal, and it's so amazing that even though I've done this show before, and of course the molecular structure of opal hasn't changed, and will never change, but it makes you look at it in a different way. It makes you see things that you didn't see before, because of not only just the gems, not because of the gemstone, but because of the other things that it deepens your understanding. Yes. It deepens your understanding of your own value when you take the same techniques, the same way you look at a gemstone, and you look at people.
Yes.
And the only thing, and I always make the comparison between gemstones and people, and the one thing that gemstones have over us is time. Opals have been around for thousands and thousands of years. Opal will be here, but was here before we were here, okay? And opal will be here long after we're gone. If you own a diamond, diamonds are at least 600 million years old. They were here before the dinosaurs. Okay, they will be here after you. When the whole earth, whatever it's going to do, gemstones will still be here, but you won't. None of us will.
No. Yeah, it's part of life.
And as you get older, 62, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful in my life that I'm here, not just here in France, but here alive, still here, healthy, relative, still got all my teeth in my mouth, and don't have any still hair, walking.
But walking without a cane.
And
I mean, you were playing what you were telling me?
Paton.
Yeah, you were playing that. So I'm like,
yeah.
with some pros.
It's magnificent. And it's because of those people like you, okay, it's an honor to be a Black man, an African-American man, and to have had Black women like yourself, like Denise, see more in me. Take the time to say, Barry, you can do something. You could create something. Your message, your story, people need to hear that. And I always want to honor you. I knew that I wanted you today on the show because I want to let the world know that so much of what I do in my life, what is happening in my life, is because of people like yourself. Because of phone calls to say, hey, what are you doing? Because Denise said, here, Barry, I'll ride with you. 120 miles for what, 4 months? 4 months, every month, twice a month. We drove 120 miles. And she wasn't even competing. She wasn't even part of clubs. She just did that to support me. Just to support me. Yeah. So how could I not give back? Just say thank you. As my good friend Doretta Parker always says, I'm still a babe in Christ in so many different ways. She just said, ultimately just say thank you. So thank you. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Denise, for
Yes.
being in my life. Thank you for Yvonne Johnson, who told me about it. And Yvonne, it was funny, Yvonne Johnson and Denise Meeks Johnson, they were married to the same guy, obviously at the same time. But Yvonne literally was my mentor. When I first started teaching, Yvonne was my mentor. Another African-American woman, another Black woman who pulled me in the side and said, you could be a great teacher. You need to let go of some of that anger. You need to let go of some of that and just understanding you're here for the kids. And here I'm in France teaching, and Yvonne was the person that let me know that Denise made her transition, because she knew that she was my friend.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Berry.
Yes.
He said yes. I know it's rough right now, and I totally am with you.
I'm sorry. Let me just celebrate Denise's life and life in this. So yes,
I'm looking for a cup. I don't have no cup. I don't have a glass. I don't even have no water. But anyway, I'll just imagine I have some wine. But, we honor this true queen. I was called Lady Queens, and Denise was a queen of a queen. Now, you're talking about true queens. You know how you said there's
exactly
different type of queens? Well, she was the queen. She was a queen.
Yes.
And I honor her dearly. And I want to honor, let's take a pause here. Not, disrespecting nothing, but let's take a pause. You're celebrating a milestone this week. And as people noticed, they might have seen it at the break. There was kind of a video with a certain individual that we know that's on the screen right now, named Mr. Barry B. Mixon, and his birthday is coming up. So I want to applaud you, sir, for being here. Every time you tell me, what is 62 years?
62
I mean, come
years
on, everybody.
old.
Look at this man. Does he look older than 20? I mean, he looks just phenomenal, handsome, amazing, incredible. And all the people that came in your life, including Denise, and look what we have here. This is Mr. Legendary. He told me I could say Mr. Legendary.
That's because he's not going to stop doing it anyhow, so I might as well just say, yeah, okay.
He gave me permission, though. At least I asked for permission. Some people just,
Yes. Barbara, it's incredible. It's incredible. I was standing, and I'll send pictures, and I was going to do it today, but because of everything, I just said no. It wasn't. I didn't want to do that, but it was incredible to be here, and I want people to understand. I wanted to take a moment to talk about traveling in regards to your story. And some of you saw on Facebook. I was sitting in the airport in Paris, Charles de Gaulle Airport, for 8 hours. I had an 8-hour layover because my trip from Detroit to Paris was delayed. And I was like, oh my God. And I was tired. I was already exhausted. I was upset. And then I just took a step back, and I was sitting there. They have very comfortable seats and everything. I was sitting there, and I realized that I was really truly only African American in the whole place. I mean, it's like there was hundreds and I'm looking for like anybody that even looked like an American. Okay, forget about it. And it was, even though it was 8 hours, it was so wonderful because I started practicing my French. I had to. I had to eat. I had to do this. I had to do that. And I met people of African descent and Middle Eastern descent and people from France, people from Poland. I mean, just amazing. And that's what I'm talking about, how you interact with the light. And to be 62 years old, knock on wood, still got a few more days, but to be there tomorrow, later on today, I'm traveling to the Pyrenees Mountains, and I'm going to France. And I'm in France, but I'm going to go to Spain as well, and hiking in the Pyrenees Mountains. And I'll have pictures of that. And just, I say that to let people know that when you travel, you get a chance to see how the things inside of you react to other cultures. It's cool to travel in the United States, go to Vegas or Florida or whatever else. But when you travel outside, that's where you really get a chance to experience not just food or apartments but just cultures, people.
Yes.
And you see how, not only how they are, how the interactions, how the elements that fit inside of them created who they are, but it's almost a test for you to see how your story resonates with other people. And when you understand that, you begin to understand you are the result of all the people that have been in your life.
Wow.
You know, Barbara, I will never forget, and I've said this many times. It started from that phone call at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Hey, Mr. B, you know, you want to do a workshop, and voila, you know, all these years later.
Seems like it's always a plane with you, isn't it? You're always traveling every time. Always.
That's what I do. But once I want people to understand the power of this, the power of Once Upon a Time. I want people to watch this show and not say, and to realize that where I came from, and the only thing that changed, I didn't hit the lottery. It's people. I've been blessed to have people in my life like you, like Denise Meeks Johnson, the people in my life that showed me something different, showed me a different world, showed me an element within inside of myself. And I say many times, I love my mother more now than I've ever loved my mother, ever. Because as I was going through this journey, when I say each week that I get a magical, magnificent moment to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure, that's because I'm not even talking about just you. I'm talking about me.
I know you always say, Barry, you always say that you're learning something as you're preparing and going when you're taking the journey with us.
Yeah. Every week, Barbara, you know that you're there from the inception. We just say, okay, what Gemstone you going to talk about this week? Oh, I don't know. And like little by little, it just comes and something happens. Something happens. And again, here it is. Here's a quintessential example. What I was going to say about Opal was even more heightened because of the death of my friend and somebody who I love. So even in death, even in her passing, she still taught me something that resonates in me. My becoming 62 years of age means even more to me because she is no longer here. So I have to carry on.
See, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I always say. You have to carry on.
She gave me a gift.
Yeah, because then it would be like, I always say it'd be a slap in the face to her and others that put that light in you if you don't carry on. Yeah.
And knowing Denise, I don't have no doubt that she would come back and haunt me. You know, it wouldn't be like, it'd be like, Negro, please. And I'd be like, what? I'm sorry.
You wake up in the middle of the night with a sweat.
Okay. And if in heaven, if she got together with my mom, oh no, then you know it's all over now.
I was say you in trouble, Barry. You that's it. You out of there.
It's all over now. You know, it's like, oh my God. Okay, yes. And it's because of organizations like Toastmasters. That's how we met. You know, that's the beauty. It's because of and I say Toastmasters not just as an organization, but as a place to tell your story, as a place to discover that story, and think about how many things that happen in all of our lives that comes as a result of the people who cared, the people who pushed us, even the people who didn't like us. My ex-wife, you know, you're a fountain of useless information. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
You know, I'm just getting to the point now, Barry, that when you keep reminding me of what she said, I calm down, because you know at the beginning when you first told me.
Like,
but now I understand, but you're making me understand that it's okay, Barbara, because look what came out of all that. So thank you for keeping me in
Yeah. Just, I mean, it's funny to me as a gemologist, as a gemological storyteller. It's funny to me when I read that, well, the reason why opal has different colors is because of the impurities. But when you really think about it, how can you say that? How can you call it impurities? Yes, they are impurities because they're not part of the molecular structure, but it's those impurities that make the thing that you love, the thing that you value is the thing that's not supposed to be there. That is what makes it so special.
Oh, that's powerful.
That's what makes it so special. It's the shit that you've gone through in your life that makes you become who you are. That's why I always say the antagonist is the most important part of the story.
Yeah.
The antagonist, it's the people that pushed you. It's the people that made you, that dragged you by your ears, that pulled you, that kicked, that used their size 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 foot up your butt. Denise wore size 10. Know why? All I have to do is go, yeah, that was a size 10. Okay. It's not because I knew the size of her shoe. I knew what she did with her foot to get me moving. So,
well, Bear, I want to let you close out, sir. Thank you so much. Happy birthday again.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all of you who take the time to support this show, support me. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your love and your support, because ultimately, as I always say, this is my promise, the promise that I gave to God when I was going through homelessness, that if I somehow get out of homelessness, I will spend the rest of my life helping people discover the value of their stories. So, as always, I love you. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller who will soon be 62 years of age. And please, as a birthday gift to me, please take time in your day, in your life, to value and discover the value of people's stories around you in your life, the people who've made you who you are. So until next week, our next adventure somewhere in France, I wish you au revoir, à te tella, voilà.